For most of the 20th century, neuroscientists believed the brain was essentially fixed after childhood, a hardwired machine that could not meaningfully change its structure in adulthood. We now know this view is fundamentally incorrect. The brain retains a remarkable capacity for reorganization throughout life, a property called neuroplasticity. When we learn a new skill, a musical instrument, a second language, or even a new physical movement, the brain physically rewires itself. Neurons that fire together repeatedly form stronger connections, a process sometimes summarized as neurons that fire together, wire together. Conversely, pathways that go unused weaken over time. One of the most dramatic demonstrations of adult neuroplasticity comes from studies of London taxi drivers. Their profession requires memorizing the entire layout of a highly complex city. Brain scans revealed that experienced taxi drivers had significantly larger hippocampal regions, the area associated with spatial navigation, compared to the general population. Crucially, the longer a driver had been in the profession, the more pronounced the structural difference, confirming that the change was caused by experience, not pre-existing brain structure.
In environmental economics, few concepts have proven as enduring or as troubling as the tragedy of the commons, first articulated by ecologist Garrett Hardin in 1968. The idea is this: when a resource is shared and open to all, a common fishery, a public pasture, a clean atmosphere, each individual has a rational incentive to use as much of it as possible. The personal benefit of using more is immediate and goes entirely to the individual, while the cost of overuse is shared across all users. The result is predictable. The resource is depleted. Hardin used the example of a shared village pasture. Each farmer benefits from adding one more animal to the pasture, but if all farmers do so simultaneously, the pasture is destroyed, and everyone loses. Importantly, however, the tragedy is not inevitable. Economist Elinor Ostrom, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2009, showed through field research that communities frequently develop their own effective governance systems for managing shared resources, setting limits, monitoring use, and enforcing penalties, without external intervention. The tragedy occurs when governance is absent, not whenever a resource is shared.
Few biological processes are as spectacular or as puzzling as metamorphosis, the dramatic transformation some insects undergo between juvenile and adult stages. We typically distinguish between two types: incomplete metamorphosis, or hemimetabolism, and complete metamorphosis, or holometabolism. In incomplete metamorphosis, the juvenile form, called a nymph, resembles a smaller version of the adult and gradually develops wings and reproductive organs through a series of molts. Grasshoppers, dragonflies, and cockroaches follow this pattern. Complete metamorphosis involves four distinct stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. The larval stage, a caterpillar for example, looks nothing like the adult butterfly. Inside the pupa, the chrysalis, something remarkable happens. Much of the larval tissue breaks down into what biologists call imaginal discs, clusters of cells that then reorganize into entirely new structures. Adult wings, eyes, and legs develop from these discs. The evolutionary advantage is significant. Larvae and adults can exploit entirely different food sources and environments, reducing competition within the same species. A caterpillar eating leaves occupies a completely different ecological niche than the adult butterfly that drinks nectar.
In management science and research methodology, the Hawthorne effect refers to the tendency for people to change their behavior simply because they know they are being observed, not because of any specific intervention being tested. The term originated from a series of studies conducted at the Hawthorne Works factory in Illinois in the 1920s and 1930s. Researchers were testing whether changes in lighting conditions affected worker productivity. They found that productivity rose when lighting increased, but it also rose when lighting decreased. The common factor was not the lighting. It was that workers knew they were being studied. This creates a fundamental challenge for social science research. If participants behave differently simply because they are under observation, then any measured improvement might be attributed to the experiment itself rather than the specific variable being tested. This is why randomized controlled trials attempt to use control groups, participants who are also observed but receive no active treatment, to isolate the true effect of an intervention. The Hawthorne effect is also relevant in organizational management. A manager who begins monitoring employee performance closely may initially see improvements, not because the monitoring system itself is effective, but because employees are aware of increased scrutiny.